see that.
Yeah, it did. So full disclosure, it has been very busy over the past week, especially with the state paperwork. So I did have Mariana help me. And I will say the stuff that Mariana removed from the description, just be grateful you didn't see that, because there were a lot of like, when we really went through it, there were legit incomplete sentences. Like there's like part of a thought was just
Thank you.
put in there as a sentence. So believe it or not, this highly edited version that you guys all looked at, which needs additional editing, was a first pass, if that
Oh,
makes sense.
I think all the data's in there, but can I just take a quick pass at it and then give it to you and maybe we could discuss it next meeting? Just,
Well, I think we can talk about what we want the path forward to be in this meeting.
all
But
right.
just, you know, it was part of the packet. But we're live on YouTube. So
right.
if you have a chance, Marguerite, you could call the meeting to order.
All
and
right,
then
it
we
is-
can get to library business.
All right, it is 11:10 a.m. The date is the 25th of August 2023, and the Southborough Library Board of Trustees meeting is now called to order. And just for the sake of the record, all present except Janet Maney is absent today, am I right?
Yep.
Okay, so there we are. All right, the first order of business is, I think, approve the minutes for the previous meeting. Do I have any additions or corrections?
I just want to note that minutes were sent out earlier this week. What you got in your full packet last night was a revised version. So there were edits that were sent in to me. They're not, a lot of them were more grammatical or sort of wording alterations. They were not substantive.
All right. So do I have any additions or corrections for the minutes? All right, approved as written for this. I'm not going to vote, but I'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Yazdani.
Aye.
Trustee Reagan.
Aye.
Trustee Davis.
Aye.
Trustee Eckberg.
Aye, and I apologize for my tardiness here. I had computer problems and it's all my fault, so I apologize.
No way.
Don't worry about it.
No,
Yeah.
it was taking us, because I'm at home today, David, it was taking us a little longer to get on YouTube. So you're actually fine. So don't even worry
All
about
right,
it.
thank you.
All right, so good. So I'm going to abstain, Landry abstained, so the minutes are accepted as written. All right, and the next item on our agenda is the director's report.
Okay, so I won't bury the lead here. I think the big thing is, I just wanted to let you guys know that we have had 2 separate instances where water has come into the building. This is in the area that we have been having the slight recurring problem. It is not even, I would say, like a full gallon of water in that area. It's less. Initially, John thought, so this is just to clarify, I almost took a picture and I thought about sharing the picture, but just so that you know what we're talking about, and anybody coming in the building, I'm happy to share where this is occurring. It is in an older historic section of the building. It is in the hallway where the everyday book sale is, closer to the corner where the hallway outside Eaton is. So I think many of you have been in the library. I have pointed this area out. Everything in that hallway is on wheels. That's on purpose, because we're aware of this issue, and that is the lowest point in the building, for the record. So again, we're not surprised that this would be where a potential groundwater issue would be. There are storage containers that we use for the chess set. And in the summer, we use it for chairs for the outside kids jam program on Friday. So when the chess set is out, we put chairs out there because we use them more outside. John initially thought that because grass doesn't grow underneath the storage containers, that maybe the storage containers were causing the problem. There wasn't an absorption issue. We moved the containers, and then a couple weeks later it happened again. So we've really determined that the storage containers are not the issue. So that was good. I think where we're back to is that this might be some sort of problem with the foundation of the building, potentially. So that sounds really serious. I think given the level of water that we have, I don't want to adversely concern you. This is something that Kim and I are monitoring. The first time this happened, between the meetings, Kim was on site and saw it happen. The second time I was on site and saw that it happen, and we were opposite, we were off both those days. I do have a little bit of good news to report on this though. There is going to be somebody that John is working with on looking at the foundation for the senior center as part of their renovations. He is engaging with that vendor on taking a look also at our area and going over some of the water issues and then seeing if there's any potential recommendations. So this is, for the record, a free consultation. So I don't think we're going to be charged at all on the facility side. But because John already has somebody here, I think he's already asked and they're willing to take a look, which is very nice of that person. So if there's additional things to report, I'm happy to do that. I feel like water is a big thing we have to keep an eye on. So I don't want to just not tell you what's going on with that. But our water issues are not fully solved. Will they ever be ? But this is not, again, a substantial thing. The building is not in danger of being flooded.
You also know that this has not migrated any further than just 2 of the rug squares, which are approximately 2 feet by 2 feet.
Yeah.
So it's just in a very limited area, and it's not cataclysmic by any means, but it's something which, as Ryan says, may be remediated without a dramatic requirement to dig out outside down to where the foundation meets the vertical wall. But again, the good news, if that's what it is that it's migrated in a very limited way in that area.
So here's my question, Ryan. When John's consultant comes to look at the foundation, would you be able to please ask him if the construction of the giant septic leaching field impacted the foundation, since it's right there, and whether there was soil buildup? And the other part of that question is, I know on a new foundation they put a black watertight coating all the way around the concrete, between the concrete and the soil. What would be the situation if we do build a renovation with getting the entire old foundation treated that way with a waterproof seal, basically?
I mean, some of those questions might have to get elevated more to if we hired somebody specifically to look at some of these. I'm happy to pass along those questions to John and see if those can be posed. I really think this is more sort of an informal. Right. He's going to come by the building. They're going to have a quick conversation, and then we're going to see if there's any sort of short-term recommendations. All right. Versus like an in-depth analysis, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, and as David was saying, if this was somebody's house, you'd probably have to dig out the soil all the way around it and do something to the foundation. But we don't have the money for that right now. So just the expertise of the leaky foundation consultant would be very helpful. And we really, I have to say, appreciate John sharing that with us. So,
and recall that each of these 2 have followed quite extraordinary rain events.
Yeah.
So in normal course of precipitation, I don't think we've had any problems. But these have been a day or 2, Ryan, after we've had several inches of rain in a rather compact period of time.
right?
Yeah,
Saturated.
and I think it's the speed of the rain coming down, like the volume of it. So it's really during high volume, like kind of fast rain is when we're kind of dealing with this issue. It doesn't require the replacement of the carpet tiles. So that right there tells you that this isn't a significant amount of water. It's
Right.
able to really dry out in about a day. But this is something we have to keep an eye on. And then, you know, as we kind of analyze and get feedback on our building, if we do have to, if we do create a space where we want to talk about some of the building deficiencies, I do have a good example now of something that we can bring to the public if we're looking at, you know, sort of a systemic expansion or renovation. I think this is one of the issues that might have to be addressed in
Right,
that.
because the groundwater level on that side of the building, where is it? Basically, it's above the floor level. So,
Yeah, that's correct.
yep. So that's a thing. Anyway, all right. So I'm sure it will dry out fast. And thank you to John. And anybody else want to give input on that right now? No? Okay, Ryan, take it away. Other items on the director's report.
So a lot of the pending summer projects are now spilling into the fall. I did get word that our website sort of import, our import from the old website into the new website is largely finished. We are now waiting for the website, the sort of the event keeper, which is going to be where we list all of the events. That's being integrated into the new website. We're really waiting to hear back from the event keeper people, is that they gave a password and a login in order to get some of the code that they need to import it. And then our website vendor tried that and it didn't allow him access. So we haven't heard back from the event keeper people. I might actually step up and kind of help bridge that communication. As far as the desktop upgrades, this will also probably be something I bring back to you in September, because this is kind of a longer conversation, I think, with IT, is that we have looked, we've started to have Hassan and Jay get into some of the network infrastructure at the library, which is unique. It was really kind of, as things come up, things were kind of added to the library's technology footprint. So there really hasn't been a systemic look and overhaul of this system since we started kind of using computers in the way that we do now. There are sort of wireless like routers that are next to concrete walls that limit their capability. I think there's a network switch where Jay was telling me 7 things are connected to in the staff room, which you're not supposed to do, I'm learning. So none of this, I don't think this is anybody's fault. I think we were always kind of doing the best that we could. But Jay is recommending that we might have to have a vendor come out and look at potentially really like doing a whole network infrastructure pitch to us. And then this would potentially be a future capital budget item. So they're looking at that at some other town facilities too. Jay, after being here this week as part of the desktop upgrade, Jay is telling me he wants to spend more time and focus on the library. So that should tell you his level of concern. So again, the computers are working at the library. This isn't to be alarmist, but also looking systemically building wide. I've shared with Jay our plans to look at the building and to potentially do an expansion or renovation. So were that to happen, this capital item with network infrastructure could be folded into that. So if it doesn't happen, we're going to have to do something, is what I'm telling all of you. So just this is what we're finding. And if it makes sense for us to invite Jay to come to the meeting and to talk about it, we also may have to go to the capital committee at some point. I don't think we're looking at the next town meeting for this potentially, but I also don't. I think Jay and I need to have more conversations in the coming weeks. We're also trying to find the best way to integrate the new CERT computers in a way that not only works for network security for the town, but also works for the staff using them to help patrons. So that is kind of the focus right now, is in getting those new computers working and in finding sort of a compromise in both of those arenas. So I'm hoping I'll have better news for you in September on the desktop upgrade, but it just to let you know some of the challenges we're experiencing. Everything is working. The CERT computers are really slow. If you've ever been there, it helps that we have 2 of them. We've talked about setting up laptops as sort of temporary stations. I know I've talked about that in previous meetings, but that may be something that we have to do just while we're working on getting the computers up and running. We also need to talk a lot with CW Mars about getting some of the Envisionware infrastructure on it. Envisionware is also going to a cloud-based system, which is great because that actually saves us a couple $100 per year. But it also means we're trying to now, because the desktop, the new desktops being on the CERC stations has been delayed. We're looking at kind of making the cloud Envisionware upgrade and the desktop upgrade kind of sync up so that we can do them all at the same time. To me, that makes the most sense at this point. We also are looking at the printers in particular because of the public printing, doing the LPT1, that's the printing system. So that needs to kind of be integrated as well. And I would just say that part of this network issue is that the printers weren't originally networked. They all were sort of tied to the computers by their individual IP addresses. So we're trying to fix that to make it all better. I'm hoping in a year, 2 years, we're going to be having conversations and laugh about how much of a headache this was for me, but that's just not right now. So it helps that Jay was on site for a while with Hassan. You know, we had the whole town IT department working for us for several hours. And I think that's just going to have to continue. While we look at solving some of this. So sorry, that was a lot of words.
No, good work, and it sounds like something that really needs to get addressed as soon as you can. Especially if I'm wondering if there's security problems.
I don't think we're super concerned about anything specific. I think that we just need to find ways to make all of this work better. And then, you know, I will say there's a lot of head scratching, and then I'm being asked a lot of questions about how the computers were set up that I can't answer. A lot of this network infrastructure even predated me. You know, I had conversations with Tom when Tom came on board, and I can kind of answer those, but Chris McGinn was hired before I got there, and he set a lot of this up. So I've given them all the notes and everything that he left me. So they have all the information that I have at this point.
So we'll be using our own hotspots to get the circulation computers working faster.
It's nice to have, I will say it's nice to have that option, just in case. Yeah. I know you were trying to joke, but
yeah.
I'm being serious. So, you know, we'll have internet in some respect, which I think would be good. So.
All right, any questions? Nope, good. Okay, anything else on the director's report, Ryan?
Just to let you know, Eris was filed. I didn't include it in the packet, but I'm happy to make that available. So if you want a copy of Eris, just send me an email. I'm working on the financial report. I have a little bit more time. We do need some financial information from the Friends. So if they spend money on circulating materials, which actually does include museum passes because those circulate, So Prudence and I have spoken, Prudence Webster, who's the treasurer of the Friends. We get together every year and just kind of go over different purchases. The Friends did help give some initial money to TechSoup for the hotspot. So even though we pay for the contract and the devices, they actually pay for the nonprofit like code that we get in order to get them. So it's $15 per device. That also counts as circulating money because the hotspots circulate. So we're just getting all those figures together. I have to thank John Parent, Brian Valentine, Carla. There's a lot of financial information I have to get from all of those individuals. They've been really responsive and have gotten me all that information. So it's just sort of putting it together and then putting it into the report. The financial report takes me a little bit longer, even though it's a shorter document, only because I have to work with a lot of other groups in order to get that done. That's due in October. Jane, because Marguerite was away, Jane was nice enough to come in and sign the ERIS report so that we could file it on time. It'll either be Marguerite or Jane that signs the financial report. So just to kind of let you guys know what's going on with that.
Good, thank you. I know it's a lot of loose ends to tie together. It's a lot of work. So thank you for that. Anything in the expense report we need to know about?
It's it's early in the year, so it's early in the year. That's what you need to know. I will say I'm giving a lot of credit to some of the staff that have been helping me, just because you would think August is less busy, and for some reason it's always really busy around this time of year for me. But Mariana really was instrumental in helping me put a lot of the information in ERIS. So it was a group effort between the two of us, but because I really did a lot of the position and salary information that has to go in the beginning. But as far as like the statistics we get from CW Mars, we would not have been able to fight. We would have had to ask for an extension if Mariana hadn't helped me. So I really have to give her a lot of credit for sitting down and assisting. I appreciate her a lot for that. So.
Her assistance is always wonderful, and she gives a lot of different kinds, which are all much appreciated. Anyway, so thank you, Mariana. That's great. Now, Ryan, do you want to tell us about the new library associates? I think we have to vote to okay your decision to hire these 3 associates, correct?
Yeah, so just as a refresher, because we don't do hiring all the time, I conducted interviews with the assistant town administrator, Vanessa Hale, and the assistant library director, Kim Ivers. So we were a search committee of 3. This tends to be how we do, job searching. So we wanted to hire at least 2 people. We've had over the last year 4 people depart from associate positions. We've since hired 1 replacement. So that was Jenny, if you guys remember when Jenny came on board. Jenny's working slightly more than we initially told her she was going to be working, but she is okay with the additional hours. So really, part of the reason we initiated this in the summer, we didn't wait till the fall, is because Kim and I had a conversation. We really needed the help now. We also had one of our pages who was working a lot at night. His name was Jackson. His last day was yesterday. He's going to remain on payroll and may come back during breaks. And then Mia Bolos, who was a page years ago, continues to be a page, was helping us a lot this summer during her college break. So they're both back to school now. So we're going to feel that loss, I think, pretty early next week. So the aim was to hire at least 2 people. We interviewed 6 people. We had an applicant pool of 15 people, which is amazing. We usually don't get that many applicants. We narrowed it down to 6 people we wanted to interview. Of those 6 people, we really found 3 that we thought would be an ideal fit. So this is where the memos come in. There is a slight typo on the memo that needs to be corrected. If you look at where it says the hours, it said it is not expected to 9 hours a week. The word exceed was supposed to be in there, and it
Yeah.
was removed accidentally when I updated the hours. So that will be, the word exceed will be placed back into those memos. And thank you, Kim, for keeping me honest and noticing that, because it makes no sense if you read it the way that it is written right there. But I interviewed these people. I make the recommendation to you as the board, but you have to actually do the appointment. So I'm going to help you with language on the motion, if that's okay, Marguerite.
Let's do them one at a time, right?
Yeah, and we should do them one at a time. I will also say we added something to the memo that wasn't there previous. So I did homework on this. The even the library associate position accidentally, I think, was removed from the SAP. I think the idea that the consultant had when they updated the schedule, they took away Schedule C and they combined it into Schedule A, was to just call everybody library assistant. So if you recall, a number of years ago, we wanted to differentiate the full-time and the part-time job. That was why we called them two different things. And we have two different approved job descriptions for that. So in subsequent months, I'm going to go to the personnel board and I'm going to ask that the position be added back into the SAP for next year. I have communicated this to the personnel board chair, to the assistant town administrator, and to the employees. Everybody is aware of this, but we're still calling it library associate because we have an approved job, even though they didn't put it in the SAP. They should have, is what I'm going to say. So it's really operating under a Schedule A grade 2 now, because everything is in Schedule A. All of this is stuff you guys don't need to know, but we have to state for the record as part of the meeting. So the minimum salary for a grade 2 position in Schedule A is $18.75. And the midpoint is 21, I want to say 54. I'm doing that from memory though. What we're asking is to do somewhere in the middle. So I wanted $20 an hour. This salary needs to get approved by the personnel director, who is our town administrator. So it's Mark Purple. Our request is into Mark. I have talked to Mark. He's okay with us doing this. The money is also in our budget. So I can confirm that for all of you, for these employees. But to me, we start a lot of people at the minimum. And the people that we interviewed, some of them have library experience. All of them are regular library users. They were selected in large part because I don't think the training is going to take as long with a lot of these individuals. I feel very confident that they're going to catch on really quickly because of their past experience. So that's kind of where we're at. So that's just to let you know why it's $20 an hour and it's not $18.75. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first motion is going to be, somebody has to actually make the motion, but I would recommend that you motion to appoint Diane Wallace as a library associate in Schedule A grade 2 at $20 an hour.
I move that we, what's the word, hire?
You can, appoint. So you're doing an
Appoint.
appointment.
Diane Wallace as a library associate at salary, grade 2 salary of $20 an hour.
Yep. Schedule A grade 2.
Schedule A, grade 2,
Yeah,
$20.
I know.
For Diane Wallace
I
as
know,
a
God help us.
library associate.
Ryan, do we need to use the word part-time because some library associates aren't?
So the library, this is part of the reason why I had to go on that whole diatribe about the title, because the library associate job is part-time by definition.
Always, okay.
Always,
So
okay.
you can say part-time because again, the confusion in the job title
Yeah.
that we're gonna fix, hopefully in the next, we have to work with personnel on that, but you can add part-time if you would like to. You can say this is a part-time position at the end of the motion.
It's up to Jane because she made the motion. Do you want to add in part-time or?
No, I think it's unnecessary. This
All
is
right.
always a part-time position.
Okay, all right. Okay, so second. All right, all those in favor, Landry, aye. Trustee Reagan,
Aye.
Trustee Davis,
Aye.
Trustee Ekberg,
Aye.
Trustee Asdani.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes unanimously. And how about
Okay, I would like
Motion.
to recommend
mhm,
that the library board appoint Jamie Hayes as a Schedule A Grade 2 library associate. I'm already doing it out of order in my order, but as a library associate, Schedule A Grade 2 at $20 an hour.
Are you making a motion or someone has to do that?
I am not part of the board, so I can't make the
Okay.
motion. I can
Okay,
only recommend.
I move that we hire Jamie
Hayes.
Hayes as a library associate at Schedule A, grade 2, salary of $20 an hour.
and I'll second. All right, and Trustee Landry, aye. Trustee Reagan,
Aye.
Trustee Davis,
Aye.
Trustee Ekberg,
Aye.
and Trustee Asdani.
Aye.
All right, the motion carries unanimously. Jane, do you want to try the last one, or is it better if Ryan reads it?
Ryan, you should just read it.
Okay, so I make a recommendation that the library trustees appoint Deborah Moore as a library associate, Schedule A, grade 2 at $20 an hour.
I second.
I can't
You
motion.
Oh, that's
can't
right.
move.
Move.
You-
Move.
Okay.
I move. How's that? Or do you have
Sounds
to
good.
repeat it again?
Say
I
the
think
whole
it's fine to
thing.
just say that you.
Okay, I move that we accept
So
it.
moved, right.
So
Second,
moved.
I'll second it. And all right, Trustee Landry, aye. Trustee Reagan,
Aye.
Trustee Davis,
Aye.
Trustee Ekberg,
Aye.
and Trustee Asdani.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes unanimously, and congratulations to our 3 new library associates, and to Ryan and Vanessa and Kim for being the search committee. That's great. Very happy to hear our staff is now back in balance, more or less, and that's great. I think it was really good. Where did you advertise for these, Ryan?
Oh, on the MBLC website, we
Yeah.
did it on the town website,
Mhm,
we advertised in-house.
mhm.
So there were flyers put up through the library, and we did, a lot of the people applied based off our newsletter, which
Oh,
was interesting. We got a lot of
Yeah.
feedback on that, is that they saw the job ad. And I will say, a majority of the applicants were residents. We do our best to try to interview as many people who apply as we can, but I will say there were a lot of people in this particular round who really were not, they didn't not just have library experience, they didn't have applicable experience, which would have helped. So it was pretty easy to select a smaller pool and then kind of go from there. I will also just mention, as an aside, that Jamie Hayes is returning to the library. She worked in high school as a page. She now has a full-time job in publishing, and I guess was kind of looking at her career long-term and is thinking about getting back into libraries. So she saw the job ad, she thought this would be a good opportunity and pursued it. So I don't know Miss Hayes personally, but Kim and Leah both previously worked with her. So that it's nice that she applied. I will say after meeting with her and interviewing her, I think she's going to be fantastic. So no pressure, Jamie, but it's nice to have somebody kind of come back. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan,
Sure
how
is.
soon might these folks start?
So they are going to, now that the appointments are done, they are going to schedule appointments with Kristen Pasicane, who's the payroll benefits coordinator for the town. They have to do some initial employee paperwork. I will say, just if you guys are coming into the library, Jamie and Deb will probably start slightly earlier than Diane, only because Diane she disclosed this to me, but she has to go to a wedding in September and will be gone a part of the month as a result of that, because it's not in the state. So you know, that Diane will join us, I think, in October. We're going to try to see if we can get her in some initial training shifts before she has to leave. So that just gives you a little bit of a time frame. Deb is a user who comes in probably more than once a week already. So it will still be a transition for her, but I think that she's very excited about getting a job with the library. So I think you'll probably see her a lot. She has a lot of availability too, which is good. So
Fabulous. So this is a really good job search and hire. So thank you, Ryan, for all the work you did on it. That's really good. And I'm glad to know that those 4 sources came up with 15 applicants. That's really
and I would
fantastic.
like to just take this opportunity to thank Vanessa and Kim for their time. You know, Kim was in the middle of
Absolutely.
doing the end of summer reading and still provided time to do interviews. And 6 interviews, and I think we did them in 3 days. That's not a small feat. It takes a while. So I appreciate Kim's time, and it was nice for Vanessa to also contribute her time and energy into it. So
Yes, it was good. I think I was there for I was in the library for part of one of those interviews and left immediately. Okay, so next agenda item, the library facade restoration project preservation restriction. Shall we
okay,
table that
so
because Janet's not here? You want to?
yeah, just to give you guys an update, we're still communicating with you know, all the interested parties. I will say I've kind of taken the initiative to
Mhm.
reach out to our contact at Preservation Worcester to see if they might help us provide some guidance on some of the more historical aspects of the restriction, which we cannot complete. So the woman over there, her name is Deborah Packard, is very helpful. I think she is going to be able to get me some information that might be able to help. So I'm optimistic about the future with this. It doesn't look like the town's attorney has the expertise to do the historical components of the restriction. So we'll still need legal review once a version of it is completed. I think a big issue, which has confused everybody, is kind of the establishment of responsibility on who was supposed to do what regarding this. And I think now that it's been suggested that a historical consultant is hired and that money would be involved, to be blunt, I don't think it's my responsibility to research and hire a historical consultant to complete this document. So I'm hopeful that we can get some assistance from Preservation Worcester if they're willing. And it seems like they are amenable. And that's the entity we're going to be paying to hold the restriction anyway. So I think that makes some certain sense, right?
Okay, and are we sure that there will be no restrictions or requirements that will impede getting a state grant for library expansion?
We need to look at the final restriction first. I think it needs to be both reviewed
Yeah.
by I'm saying the royal R, but the
Mhm.
town's council, and
Yep.
it also needs to be reviewed by Preservation Worcester's council as well.
Any
So
option to send it into the state to make sure that this won't do it? Because you said the town council isn't quite
I said that they don't have the historical expertise to complete the historical components that need to go into the end. But
right.
I think that they can review it as a legal document.
Okay,
I
the
hope.
only thing I'm concerned about is if there's something in there that the state says, oh, no expansion money for you, you've got this restriction.
I'm happy to also reach out to our construction specialists at the Mass Board of Library Commissioners.
Yeah.
They are aware that this is a pending
Okay.
project, a pending thing on the building. I don't know what the exact thing to phrase this is. They're aware that we did a CPA project and that we are historically preserving our facade.
Okay, so that
They
so
are
that
aware of
yeah,
that
all right,
because
good.
I've been in a lot of those meetings and I have gone over this with Andrea. So
Okay, all right, that's good.
Lauren, but Andrea has been the one who I've had the most conversations
All right,
with.
just David, were you going to say something? Did I interrupt you?
No,
Okay.
Short and sweet.
But I think it makes more sense to talk about this for more time when Janet is with us, only
Okay,
because
all right.
Janet has also tried to push this along and to move forward with getting the restriction complete. So
Right,
I'm
right.
sorry this is taking so long. We did know that this was going to be a while and it's going to continue to take time.
Got to do it right. There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
A Community Center Exploration Committee report.
So the Community Center Exploration Committee still has not met, but what did happen was Janet and I met with the consulting team who
Mhm.
took a look at Finn. And we did talk about, we did have conversations about how the library could be integrated into the architecture of Finn were it to become a community center. So that was kind of it was a very preliminary conversation is what I can tell you, but we did, I would say a large part of the conversation was addressing issues surrounding parking. That was one feedback piece that we gave them. Basically, where you kind of park in Finn, I don't have a graphic for you. The library kind of side of that, many of you have been in Finn, so you're kind of aware of this, but you know how the library is kind of in the corner pocket of the building, the existing library, that kind of faces that back playground area.
Right.
So basically the surrounding hallways would also be converted to be the library space. That was kind of the pitch in what would be kind of an L shape. So we'd have the existing library area and then a good portion of the school on top of that. So we are supposed to meet as a group, I think the first full week of September. So we probably will have more of an update at the next meeting.
I guess my question is if the library is expanded, the library operations would move to Finn for a while, or are we talking move to Finn for good?
I think that question has not been determined.
All right.
Yeah, I think you as board members need to start thinking about what your position is on some of this. But again, in fairness to Janet, she's the rep on the Community Center Exploration Committee. And I think hopefully she can be at the next meeting. And then I also think she can report on what happens at that next meeting. But our focus right now, I talked with the state consultants about whether or not we can use Finn as our alternate site. Because I think it's the MSBA, that right, is the school group, school entity, kind of like the school's MBLC, if you will, right?
Yep.
So the MSBC needs to formally dispense with Finn as a school before we can undertake it as a viable site option. So if we're going to town meeting in the spring and we're asking for planning and design money, we cannot use Finn as the secondary site. What I plan to do is put kind of a caveat in our application that says that were Finn to become available, we would still like to pursue that option. But the second site that we're going to have to look at potentially cannot be Finn. So we're going to have to come up with an alternate suggestion. The only two ways that I can see this in the application are proposing that the area next to the transfer station, which is town owned, we could build a brand new library there. And again, there's a multitude of reasons why that might be challenging, or to look at a vacant area on Route 9 that could either be converted or built as a library there.
Not too complicated, is it?
So this is bizarre to say, but Finn actually is our best secondary viable option were we to move.
Yeah.
But we can't put that in the application.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to everybody? Because the schools need to decide what they want to do first.
Yeah.
Ryan, have you received back from all of us the questionnaire about the building? And
So the survey is anonymous online, and people are not signing their name to it. That is a great segue, though, David, into saying that if you have not completed the Southborough Library Building Survey 2023, please do. We have about 100 responses so far.
oh,
from the
good.
community.
Well, you've already answered my second question then, because I'm wondering whoever is going to collate all these, if there were a way of pulling out the survey results from each of us, and as a separate consensus to the extent that it was different, that might be interesting. But if I mean, I signed mine for better or for worse. Happy to sign it, but maybe that's not possible if most of them are coming in unsigned.
Well, I will be sharing results from the survey most likely in October. I think we're going to try to run it through September in between the open forums. I will also mention the first open forum for the library building open forum will be next Thursday on August 31st. So mark your calendars, because it's going to be an exciting night. I met with Liz Zulik, who's going to moderate the discussion. It's going to be about an hour, I think, is what we're shooting for. Liz also suggested post-September is potentially doing some virtual options if people were not able to attend the in-person ones. So even though they're spaced far apart, they're on different nights. They are at night, which doesn't help, I think, seniors who may not want to go out in the evening. So we are looking at alternate virtual options. I think that would take place either in October or November. I really liked Liz's idea, and she offered to help me with those. So that's kind of where we're at. The second forum, for the record, will be Wednesday, September 27th. Also at 7 o'clock. So if you can't make the 31st, you could plan on September 27th. We'll get more information out about that. Right now, so David, you did fill out a physical survey, which
Yes.
we'll be putting into the Survey Monkey without your name. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
We're just because there's not a space to add that, but we are going to make physical versions of the survey available in September. So right now you can fill it out online, and then you'll be able to do it in person at the library starting September 1st, I think is the aim. I don't know even know if that's I think it's a Friday and we are open
It's a
that day.
Friday, yeah.
So, really, I think most of the responses would be after Labor Day, but we're planning on doing that, so that we can capture the people maybe who didn't fill it out online, if that makes sense. We have to input that data in SurveyMonkey ourselves.
Mm.
So that was part of the reason why it's been online first for the first couple weeks.
Is there a
Does
way
that
to
make
share that with Algonquin, maybe?
The survey results or with the
Oh,
survey
with
itself?
The survey itself, the link.
I can definitely make that available. I did reach out to the Friends group and to the staff and to department heads. My follow-up is going to be sending the survey to different boards and committees. I'm trying not to inundate everybody with survey emails all the time. So I'm kind of tackling groups as we go. That's also just helping the data kind of flow in.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, so that we're not getting like days where we got 100, 200 responses, and then we don't have anything for several weeks. So I'm trying to keep the survey as a living entity that people are contributing to over several weeks, which
I
has
was
been
thinking
successful.
Algonquin social media may be able to post it, just, because I think some of the older kids particularly would have some good input
Yeah,
on things.
But is-
Also, the other thing I'm just seconding on the online thing, because like, for example, I know Naya really wants to attend, but she has soccer every night until like at least 6, if not 8, until November. So, that I think she's not the only one, and parents that shuttle. So just FYI.
we are not recording the physical forums. So one of the questions has been, do we record the online ones? And I think where we're kind of landing on that is yes, because that helps us capture the data more. But at the same time, I feel like people would be less honest. So that is still an evolving conversation. I think if we're not recording the in-person ones, it makes sense to have the consistency of getting virtual participation, but also not recording the responses. So we really will need to be, this is the weird thing. We might have to have somebody who's just on this call, who's just taking notes and who's not participating. So that might be the way to go, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. People behave differently when they're being recorded.
We've gotten 99 responses so far from the SurveyMonkey. And if you include David's physical survey, that's exactly 100. So that's where
And
we're
what's your goal for number of responses? Do you have one in mind?
Yes, I'm probably not going to hit it, but I would really love at least 500 responses.
Wow.
500 would put us at this as the most successful community survey we've ever done.
Has it been posted to like the community pages on Facebook and places like that? Or do you need me to help do that?
The care and
I would
share
love your
thing.
help in doing that. It has not, to my knowledge, unless someone else shared it. I do have access to the care and share, so I could do a post there. It probably would help if it came from a resident versus from me, but it has been posted on the blog with an announcement about the first open forum. So I think Beth will be helpful in helping us post it again closer to the second open forum. So it'll go up on the blog twice, which not every survey has that option.
And the goal is for it to be Southborough residents filling out the survey only? Is that correct?
Primarily, but since it's building feedback on users of the library, we really welcome feedback from anybody who uses the building. We don't ask people to self-identify as Southborough residents in this survey. I will say about half of the people, a little less than half, have contributed comments in addition to filling out the survey data. There's only one open area to fill out comments, and that's at the end of the survey. I can tell you a lot of people are self-identifying as Southborough residents in that comment area. So that to me makes it seem like most of the people filling it out, at least half of them who are doing the comments, are probably residents, but that wasn't a data point we tried to capture this particular time, Kim. We
Yeah,
can
no, I
do
only
it-
thought of it because when Amy mentioned Algonquin, if it goes out to the high school, more than half of that is not Southborough.
Yeah.
But
And
they
we
won't
are
be
getting,
taxpayers yet either, will they?
Soon to be, Marguerite, soon to
Soon to
be.
be taxpayers. I have to say parenthetically and just jump in with this, that Marlborough is about to move back into their new and extremely gorgeous library.
Yes.
well, so I do think this is interesting too, because we have, and we may be getting some people filling out the survey, Kim, who are Marlborough residents who are using our building a lot more because we've kind of taken in a lot of the Marlborough library users who don't have a library right now, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. But we are getting feedback that a lot of the Marlborough people comparing the older Marlborough building to our building do like us and do like our staff. And some people have told us that they want to use the new facility there, but they will come back on occasion to come to our facility as well. So, I mean, they are stakeholders as well, I feel, because they're utilizing our building, but they also are not people who are going to advocate for us at a town meeting, which is
Right,
kind of
but on the other hand,
necessary.
they are paying state taxes, and it's state tax money that's going to be paying for a lot of our construction. So it's all part
That's,
of the
Yeah,
same
it's circular,
big
yes.
happy
we're all in
family.
the, we're all in the same
We're
boat,
all in the
right?
same boat. I know, and I can't wait to go in and get a tour of the Marlborough.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
It's
I think
really
there has
gorgeous.
been an emphasis on our previous discussions
Yeah.
on the Westboro project
Yeah.
and sort of what happened there, right?
Yep.
But I think hopefully some of the narrative about libraries in our area will change to check out Marlborough's brand new state-of-the-art library and how amazing it is, right?
It's gorgeous and it's
this
huge. Yeah,
this type of facility could be something that we have in Southborough.
right.
Quick
Yeah.
thing about the recording, Ryan. Naya and I used to do a lot of product testing where you'd go in and they'd be like, you're being recorded. And I think people very quickly, judging on things they said, forget they're being recorded. I mean, you just say it and move on. And if you think that's going to be helpful, you could try it and see, like try one and see if you get the same response amount of people. Because I think you can make it clear that it's going to be recorded for transcription purposes and destroyed. It's not like you're putting it up on YouTube or something. It's a confidential recording purely for something, and see if people go for it, if that makes life so much easier. Just a thought.
Good point.
And I'll just say, you are residents of the town. You use the library. All of you do. I know you do, even if you don't want to admit it fully, right? But the open forums are designed for people who use the library to come in and provide feedback. So I would say, don't not go because you're a trustee, but don't really fully identify to the audience for the context of this forum that you're a trustee, if that makes sense. So just, because you don't want to go in there and be like, well, I know all this stuff, but like, your feedback is important as well. And in the past, when we've done public information surveys, trustees haven't filled it out. Not anybody on this board, but it's important to get your feedback as well as users and as residential stakeholders. So just don't not participate in this because of that reason. And then just, we don't want to put residents in an area where they would feel uncomfortable sharing. So just bear that in mind if you're at the forums. You're adults and I can't tell you what to do, but I'm giving you the advice that was given to me, and that's why I won't be present at these sessions. Whenever somebody's giving feedback, I always want to engage them and tell them, well, the library does this or the library does that, and that's not helpful for the purposes of this. I do plan to follow up the forums in addition to the virtual follow-ups with some library information sessions. We are finding in the survey, one of the big components is in the questions. I think there's 2 different ones where we say, I would need more information to answer this question. Those responses are in the lead. that to me means that people do want more information about what's going on with the library, about the building in general. And I think that now that we're getting some feedback, that can help to me to focus on where we really need to do some informational talks.
That's
that
good.
make
And
sense?
one of the
Yeah.
points of doing the survey was to familiarize residents with the idea that the building expansion is now under discussion. That they
Yeah.
need to know that it's something that the town will have to vote on at some point.
And I don't think people are not aware that we're doing this now. I think
I hope
the
so,
word is,
yes. Yeah.
yeah, the word is out that this is definitely on the horizon. And I would say, as far as messaging, we're doing a good job of getting the initial word out. I
That's
really can't imagine this is going to surprise too many people when it comes up in March at the
Good.
next town meeting.
Good. All right, so if there are no other comments, we are now at 12:09. The library supervisor job description.
So really quick, I know some of you have already taken a look at this. I know that there's a lot of feedback on some revisions. Could we, as just a path forward for that, can we do this like we've done other documents where you can either drop it off in my office if that's easier, if you've handwritten stuff, or if you could send it in, and I will start kind of taking in that data and making a revised document. And this will probably take place over a couple meetings, is what I'm
Okay.
thinking.
Does that work for everybody? Jane, I had the feeling
No,
that would
I
be
was
good.
upset by a lot of it. Oh, no.
Yes, yeah. I
So
know.
it's good to see you put your pen to the paper.
Oh my God, I started it last night and I thought, whoa, this needs major surgery at this
Yeah.
point.
I will tell you, Mariana and I were looking at it Tuesday night when we were working together, and
Yeah.
we had a similar reaction. And just know that you're seeing a pared down version of it. Like there was a big chunks of it that we took out before we even sent that to you. And I knew that many of you would have this reaction, and I apologize, but I promised you a draft of something. And this is a good starting off point. Let me put it like that.
And just the fact that you inherited it from a previous administration, say no more.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is one of the ones I had no hand in at all, and has been on the books for over a decade. So you're really seeing, I think, a lot of the deficiencies in some of, and even that, we're doing better than some of the other departments timeline wise with this one. So
Yeah.
that gives you an idea of how much of a systemic overhaul. I also remember I told you we're going to start with the worst ones first, right? So that's a good reminder of that.
Okay, that's supposed to make us feel better, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit, Jane. Yeah.
Well, it's a job that everyone's looking at right now, and I don't know. I think everyone on this board is a really good editor. So I think between all of us, you should get something that could turn into a very good, maybe 2-page long. Ryan, what did you just swallow?
No, I'm trying not to sneeze. I apologize.
Sorry, I thought it was something in your coffee. Yikes. All right. So, yes, I think that between the 5 of us, we should be able to help you to arrive at a job description that will be a thing of great beauty, very useful, and parallel structure. Okay.
I also think it would be helpful to get Janet's feedback as well. Only
Yes.
because
Yep.
she has some
Absolutely.
experience with job descriptions as
Yep.
well. So just obviously the 5 of you too, like everybody, I want all eyes on it. And then just remember, even when we get a version, we also need to send it to personnel and get them to take a look at it, and
Yeah.
they may have feedback as well.
Yeah.
So
this is a good start. Right. Now, do we have anyone present for public comment?
no one is here.
All
So
right. And any setting a time and date for our next meeting.
So the third Friday, if we did that structure,
Mhm.
would fall on September 15th.
All right. I am going to be away. Jane, since you're sort of co-chairing at this point, do you want to chair that?
Probably. I have a few things coming up which are not pinned down yet, but I'll say yes for now, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We really are co-chairs at this point. I mean,
It's okay.
seriously, I mean, you're doing a lot of heavy lifting on all of this, so
Not really,
maybe
not
we
really.
need to revisit our job description. So I thank you for that. So the 15th at 11 on Zoom? Okay, that's
Yeah,
great. Thank you.
yeah. So I
Alright.
can go ahead and book the room for that. And then hopefully Janet's available. I think she said she had some availability in September
Okay,
on the
good. Well,
Fridays. So
yeah, okay,
I'm
so this
fingers
will be
crossed.
tentative depending, and I will try to attend as best I can, but I can't guarantee it because I don't know what the Wi-Fi will be like. Anyway, all right, so any other business that shall properly come before our board today? Nope. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All right, do I have a second?
Second,
Trustee Landry, aye. Trustee Reagan,
Aye.
Trustee Davis,
I,
Trustee Ekberg,
Aye.
Trustee Asdani.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you very much. I think we covered a lot, and so far so good. Okay, see you next time, I hope.
Good end of
Good luck,
August.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.